Well, the 49ers, things just got a whole lot worse, and their season's looking like it's over. But who is to blame?
Let's talk football.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the All Around Sports Podcast, where sports are everything on this channel. I'm your host, Antonio. Today, we are talking about the San Francisco 49ers after they lost in a blowout fashion to the hands of the Buffalo Bills and now moved down to 5-7. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season the Seahawks would be number one in the division right at this point in time, and then the 49ers would be in last place, I wouldn't have believed you then. But I'm starting to believe those people that were saying it now, if there were any people that were saying that. But the question is, with the down season for the 49ers, who is the person to blame for the 49ers down season? Now, I'm going to get into that here in just a second. But before we get started, as you can clearly tell, I'm a Seahawks fan, a team that beat them, which ultimately literally broke them mentally and physically, literally broke them. But anyways, I'm not going to get too far into that because I'm a respectable fan of my team. But if you guys do enjoy this video, please be sure to do me a favor and smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. For now, let's talk about the 49ers. The 49ers. Recently, I don't know, I want to mention this before we get started into it too far. Christian McCaffrey has been dealt with a BCL injury, so he could likely miss the rest of the season. And then Jordan Mason also had a knee injury, which he's been placed on injured reserve for 4 weeks. So he'll be out for 4 weeks. So now to the topic. I think there are two people to blame for this. Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. Because and I'm going to talk about Brock Purdy here first. Brock Purdy is a system quarterback. We've seen this from him. I know he made the Super Bowl last year, and I ultimately said last year that he did not cost the 49ers that Super Bowl. It was their defense. It's completely reversed this season because Brock Purdy has had so many opportunities to win games, even when the injury guys are out. And if you're a team that is playing for a playoff spot in your division, that before that week game against the Seattle Seahawks, your your players that are as backups on the practice squad for the players that are injured need to step it up. And Brock Purdy ultimately has to step it up. What has he done? He has looked so poorly. And I wanted to pull up some stats. He's thrown for so many interceptions. And I mean, I know there are gonna be people pointing to the injuries. I get all that. But when you look at a team that is like the 49ers with a talented roster that you had last year, you should have at least made the playoffs this year. And many people had you going back to the Super Bowl against Kansas City. You have failed the expectations. You were the number one football power index ranked team, which I believe you were highly overrated in that category. Then you go out there in so many games. You lost. You are 1-3 against your entire division. You've lost to each individual team of the West once. You should not be losing to a team like Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks, which you made look like prime Michael Vick, for crying out loud. And I'm being for real serious. No trolling in this video at all. I'm being for real serious. And then now to Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, I don't think this brother is going to remain the 49ers head coach because he's going to get fired. I said this at the beginning of the season. If he could not get the 49ers back to the Super Bowl and win it, he was going to get fired. And I would not be surprised if Kyle Shanahan got fired in the offseason because we've seen this from Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan has been to 3 Super Bowls, one with the Atlanta Falcons, 2 with the San Francisco 49ers. All of the one thing they have in common, they've had 10-point or more leads. And you failed in every single chance you had as Kyle Shanahan. You were up 28-3 against the New England Patriots. You had it in the bag if you kept on running the ball, but you gave up the choke to the Patriots, which created ultimately the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history. Then you go out in Super Bowl 54. You had to lead with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. You lost to the Mahomes and the legendary Chiefs that we would know of as today. Then you go out last year where you had every single thing in your favor, and you end up losing in the game to the new overtime rules. This team has failed expectations time and time again. They have not won a Super Bowl since Steve Young was their quarterback. And that's a long dang time because they've made 3 Super Bowl appearances in the last 29 to 30 years. And every one of them they have lost. In Super Bowl 47, lost to the Baltimore Ravens. In Super Bowl 54 and 58, lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. This 49ers team has looked bad. Christian McCaffrey, even when he was back, he was not like himself. Even the Seahawks were able to show that. And the defense has just been growing for the Seattle Seahawks, not taking anything away from them. But Christian McCaffrey is kind of giving me vibes of a specific player. I cannot think of his name at the moment. He was injured, and after he got injured, he was not the same. And as we saw with both Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins, when an Achilles tear happens, and in CMC's case, it was 2 meniscus tears. When something like that happens to you, you're never the same player. You're never the same player that you were. And we've seen this from players from any level. But my point is to the 49ers, they need to go out this season. They need to fire Kyle Shanahan because he's ultimately going to be the thing that is costing this team Super Bowls left and right. Then, I'm gonna say this. I might sound crazy for this because in Minnesota they have an offensive coordinator in Kevin O'Connell as a head coach. I swear, if Brock Purdy was with the Minnesota Vikings right now,
he would have probably already won a Super Bowl by now.
Because Kyle Shanahan is that bad of a coach. He cannot win it when the lights are the brightest. He cannot win it. He is a 10-point lead choker supreme. He is a choker. And until he wins a Super Bowl, that is what we're going to call Kyle Shanahan. Because he has constantly been with teams. He had the most stacked roster last year, couldn't finish the job. Had a very talented roster in Super Bowl 54. Had a Legion of Boom member from a Super Bowl squad with the Seahawks, Richard Sherman. Couldn't win the Super Bowl then. You had Colin Kaepernick that has not been seen in the NFL for years that led the team to a Super Bowl against the Ravens. Tried to come back in the last few seconds because of the power outage, but ultimately Ray Lewis and Ed Reed did their thing. But my last thing I'm going to say is this. The 49ers are in a heck of trouble because they have got so many players to pay. And you highly overpaid Brandon Ayuk, that is now out for the season, and you overpaid CMC, that is now likely going to be out for the season and is probably never going to look the same as he was with Carolina again. And I mean, Jordan Mason, he's been looking pretty dang impressive. I cannot ignore what Dak Brothers did during his time with the 49ers when they were in the winning slant. And Juwan Jennings, he should have been the one that got paid. He should have been the one, not Brandon Ayuk. And my last and third and final point. The 49ers, they need to do something because clearly what Kyle Shanahan is trying to do with this 49ers team, they can make the playoffs, but they can't win a Super Bowl because Kyle Shanahan is constantly known for choking those 10-point leads in the Super Bowl. And Kyle Shanahan ultimately has to go because clearly what he's doing clearly ain't working. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Who do you guys think is primarily the most to blame for the 49ers down season? Let me know who and why. I bet a lot of people are going to say Kyle Shanahan. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to do me a favor and smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, I'll see you all in the next one. Ciao for now.